Hey people, this is Bob. Um, Today I'm going to be talking about New Mutants number 94, which you can see is Cable versus Wolverine with this classic swiped cover from G.I. Joe, where this was Roadblock originally holding this. So swipe or homage, Liefeld tends to homage a lot. So I don't know. It's a back and forth thing, and I don't know exactly which way to go with it myself. Um, but whenever you see something like this from Liefeld, where he drew something and it kind of looks right, even though this is kind of wonky up in here. That he actually used some kind of reference. So I can't fault that because he never looks like he uses reference for anything. But yeah, so anyway, New Mutants number 94. So this is classic Liefeld art, which I like. I'm a fan of the earlier Liefeld stuff before he started using inker. Well, let's say I could take him for everything before Captain America. Captain America was the biggest downfall of an artist I've ever seen, because his artwork just was completely horrible right there. And then it just never got any better. But here we go. So we have Wolverine lunging towards Cable. And we have some words here that are just really not telling you much of anything. They're like, here's Wolverine, who's past is shrouded in mystery, and here's Cable, who's past is shrouded in mystery. Okay, good job. I do like the coloring. I think the coloring is pretty impressive here. This is when they started doing this, and I just felt like it worked. I would see this a lot in Jim Lee's X-Men as well, that they would do this. Basically, the color was the shade, and then they would highlight with white, and it looks pretty good. I always liked it. Always wondered why they hadn't done that before. But then we turn around to this double-page spread. So, this isn't anything new for Liefeld. It's new, here when he would do it, but it's something he would stick with well into the later years. And I have to say, I love this image. It is pretty damn awesome. So first of all, we have Louis Simonson as the writer, Rob Liefeld's the penciler. We have Hilary Barta as the inker. Because of this inking, I think is what gave us everything. We're getting all this immense detail and everything on these backgrounds, which is not something we would usually get from Liefeld, even though back in the day he did draw a lot of backgrounds and stuff. But this is a pretty good picture. I actually like this. There's not much to say about these two pages. It's just Cable fighting Wolverine, and we have Richter and Rain and Sunspot back here, just like, oh, they're fighting, and maybe we should try to stop it or something, right? So I don't have X-Men number or New Mutants number 93. Who knows? That was something that probably got destroyed a fire or whatever. But I can't remember the story so much that took place there to build up to this moment. But we just have, Cable fighting Wolverine here. And that's all we're kind of getting with the captions, is that, the only option that can happen here is for one of them to die or whatever. And as we know, neither one of these people die. So apparently there was a third option that, isn't brought up or whatever. This is a little wonky to me because, the thigh in the background here should come down further. I don't know. The angle is very weird here. But all in all, it's definitely not the worst thing we've ever seen. I've always laughed at this picture. Just because it looks like Cable's head got squashed into nothing. I think back on the scene from The Dark Knight Returns, where they were on a roller coaster and Robin, Carrie Kelly, was fighting that toy maker guy who was extremely, bulky, and he ended up landing on his head and it just explodes or whatever. And that's what I think of when I see this picture. So I tend to get a little giggle out of that because of, how weird it looks. But I get that he's using Wolverine's momentum to throw him over and everything. And then, we just got a couple more fight things here. Again, pretty decent artwork. I really, again, love the coloring on it. To me, when Liefeld draws Cable, I don't know, he tends to be fat. I just look at him as this fat guy. Like, you can see here how small his head is, which is way displaced from where it should be. Shouldn't it be back here between the two shoulder pads here? But it's like way over here on the side, and it just seems weird because it makes him look like he has like a 2-foot neck. You know, like his neck should be the size of his forearm here if you like do the math on it, right? So it's weird, but you know, again, not the worst he's ever done. So here we have Cannonball and Boom Boom held captive by the Mutant Liberation Force, I guess, which is now run by Strife. Again, I did not read New Mutants at this time. I came into it much later, like right when they were, you know, about to do X-Force. This wasn't a book that I followed at the time, so I don't know a lot of the story or anything. But they're held captive, and apparently these people are going to use some kind of drug in the water supply to kill off all the humans that aren't mutants, okay? And then this person here, Dragoness, ends up kissing Cannonball, which apparently gets Boom Boom jealous, and he's just acting like he's under some kind of spell, and that he's in love with this woman, Dragoness. And then Boom Boom's like, okay, well, there's only one way I could break you out of this, and that's by also kissing you. So then when she, you know, stops, she's like, wow, I didn't know you could kiss like that. And Cannonball's like, hey, well, you never asked. And well, by the way, anyway, I was just making it up. I wasn't like under any kind of spell or anything like that. I was just faking it so that I could steal a key from Dragoness within a pocket in her headdress. And then Boom Boom's like, oh, now he's a creep because he lied to me and I took the bait. But I'm glad I did, but not glad. I don't know. You know, teenage minds or whatever. It gets confusing. But anyway, he's got what he needs to break out. And we cut back over to Wolverine and Cable, who are fighting. And can I just say that it's just fucking boring. There's nothing here that is doing anything for anything. You're getting some okay artwork. But, you know, I don't know. I never understood the love of Cable that other people had. I was not like a huge fan. There was nothing in Cable that I saw that, you know, that I liked. He was, you know, I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for that because I know people love Cable, and that's good. Go ahead, you know. There are, you know, comic book characters that we like or don't like or whatever. Everybody's got a differing opinion on this stuff. You know, I get it. But Cable just never did anything for me. And my first introduction for Cable was through the Extinction Agenda. One of the issues, I think it was issue number 7 of that run, 7 out of 9 or whatever, because again, I came in late on all of this. But it was drawn by Jim Lee, and that was my first introduction to Cable, where it was kind of like, okay, you know, he's kind of cool looking or whatever. But as far as like personality or anything goes, he was just a blank character to me. He was just this cliched army dude or whatever from every 80s military flick you've ever seen, and he did nothing for me. Okay, I didn't think he was a cool design other than when like Jim Lee drew him. And I know that it's another sacrilege. Other people are like, oh no, Cable's only Cable when Liefeld draws him, and I will beg to differ because Cable is much better when anybody else draws him. Okay, it's just what it is. Also, I would like to point out Wolverine is better when anybody else draws him. It's what it is. And again, I like the artwork that's in here. I like early Liefeld. I like the energy he brought to the table. I like his style that he had, although it wasn't perfect. It was very cool. It was very new. It was very fresh. I did like it. But to go on record here, like, that's not the best Wolverine. It's not the best Cable. It's just what it is, okay? The fight continues on until Richter's like, all right, I'm going to dump a couple tons of water on you to break up this fight, which is what he does. And then, you know, I guess they're soaking wet or whatever, and the kids come running over, and now they're done. They're just like, okay, yes, the fight's kind of real, but it's not kind of real. It's a fight that's been going on forever because apparently Cable has existed for a long time and but nobody's ever mentioned him, and he's never like popped up before and stuff. I don't know. Again, it's all housed in mystery or whatever. But here we have Wolverine lighting up what looks like a cigarette here. But then he shouts that you ruined a perfectly good cigar. And I don't know. I mean, erase, you know. Liefeld is not one to erase something when there's, you know, a mistake. But again, you know, not bad artwork here. I love it. Just, you know, there's always going to be those flaws, you know, the inconsistencies that Rob Liefeld brings to the table whenever he draws a comic, right? So now we have Strife, who, can I just say that, you know, I've read some New Mutants books now, and I've read the X-Force books, and, you know, I remember reading that Cable miniseries drawn by John Romita Jr. After Liefeld had left Marvel. And I know that Strife is like a clone of Cable, but I still don't know what the hell Strife is. Like he runs this organization where he's trying to kill people because they're not mutants, so it just kind of makes him sound like Magneto. So he's just a Magneto clone then. But he also has like a ton of money to pay all of these soldiers, because later on here, when Cannonball and them are trying to escape, yeah, right here, they run into these soldiers who are like, you know, this assignment, Strife is paying us more than our yearly wage. So, you know, these guys are just paid like mercenaries or whatever from Strife. It just seems weird. Now, this guy, I guess, is Sumo. I can only assume that this is somebody that Rob Liefeld created. I'm only guessing it. I don't know. But I do know that Liefeld, at this time, was creating characters all over the place, because that was an extra paycheck, you know. That's why you got so many new characters in every issue, was because, you know, he was selling them off to Marvel and making some money, okay? It's the whole reason that we got so many of the characters in X-Force and everything that we did, okay? But I know that he liked to draw the Blob. And here we just have the Blob in a diaper, you know? I mean, switch it out, they're the same character, you know what I mean? Just color it a different way, and there you go, it's the same thing. Again, can't fault it. He knew how to draw the Blob. He drew a pretty cool Blob. So, you know, milk that for what it is. But again, here we have, geez, I cannot remember his name. Sunspot, or Sunfire, that's it. Sunfire, with Boom Boom and Cannonball. And Cannonball's like, you know, we should hide from these guys. Now it's not a time to fight them, because we have bigger issues. We got to stop, you know, these drugs from being put in the water and everything. And Sunfire's like, who are you to order around the son of Japan? And Boom Boom's like, hey, I get it. I don't like people shouting orders at me either, but we have more important things to do. And then Sunfire's like, you're right. Thanks for reminding me. I don't know. I mean, it's more characterization than you get in any Liefeld comic, so it's good, you know. It's not bad. It's given us some idea of the characters and everything. All of the artwork here, I'm loving it. I'm loving the Warlock pictures and everything. I'm loving the mask here and all of that. It's all pretty damn good. I really like it. Again, I feel like some of this is added from the inker, okay? Especially where backgrounds are concerned and what we're getting there. But again, this is all pretty good, and I'm enjoying it. Okay, so I guess they decide to go out and fight those guys anyway, even though they just said that they wouldn't. So I don't know. Some things in here are a little confusing with what goes on, and I'm thinking it's because at this time, Liefeld was like plotting, and then Louis Simonson or whatever was scripting or something like that. So I don't know. Things tend to get a little confusing here. They talk, you know, into this or whatever, and then they jump out to attack after saying that they're not going to do that. They're just going to let these people go by because they have bigger fish to fry or whatever. So they come out and they fight these guys. And apparently Sunfire here is like, you know, you're going to tell me where Strife is and his poison, or I'm going to ignite my hands and burn you. You know, yeah, that's it. And now we have the rest of the New Mutants team on top of the warehouse that Sunfire and them are in. where Wolverine's just like, I'm registering mutants in there. I have no idea if they're good or bad, but we're just gonna fucking jump in and that'll be it. And what's wild with that is that Cable's like, are you insane that you would do this? But he's already following along. I would like to point out that, again, we have this massive thing here where Strife is trying to poison all humans and kill them, leaving only mutants alive. And the new mutants are out to stop him. But they took a break from that so that Cable and Wolverine could fight for half the issue. Yeah, that's a standard Marvel trope that has to happen, Cable versus Wolverine or whatever. But I feel like that can be written a lot better because, they're just both coming off as complete and total assholes now that they're like, we're willing to let humans die so that we can just toss each other around for a little bit. You can't tell me that Wolverine couldn't use his claws to cut Cable up into nothing because Cable didn't even have a weapon. They're just fighting with fists. And Cable usually uses weapons. So why, if it's a serious fight, why wouldn't he be shooting Wolverine? Anyway, not that it would kill Wolverine, but I'm just saying, it's what it is, okay? So they come in and they're like, Sunfire, let the guy go, blah, blah, blah. And Sunfire's like, but they're going to be killing people. And Cable's like, okay, we'll take care of it. There's a lot of weapons in this warehouse. All these boxes are unmarked, so we can't differentiate which box would have the drug in it and which box will have explosives and weaponry. So Sunfire shouldn't be igniting his hands and potentially causing a fire that could end up blowing up the whole warehouse, which also seems like a way to destroy the drug, but I'm just saying. So then Strife pops in and he's like, okay, guys, you take care of these people or whatever, because they're here now. And Cable's like, okay, well, I'm just going to shoot at Strife because I'm sure that one of my bullets from my smallest gun, because he did come in here carrying right, he's got this big cannon over here when he jumps through the window, and he's still got the cannon here, and then it disappears while he pulls out a different little gun to shoot him with. Again, it's the inconsistencies with the artwork. Life wants to draw something cool even if it's not written in the script, or perhaps the script did not detail that, and you don't know. I know I've drawn comics where it's like the writer literally says 3 people are in a dark room. They don't tell me where the room is. They don't tell me what people are in the room or whatever. And it's happened, So Strife is like, you're stupid. Your bullets can't hurt me. And then Sumo comes launching in to crush Boom Boom. And Warlock's like, no, get out of the way. Cable taught me how to do strategy. So I'm going to turn into a net. And then I'm going to have Sunspot use that net to sling Sumo out of the warehouse here. Okay. It's a superhero book. I can see that happening or whatever. Can I just say that when it comes to New Mutants and X-Force and everything, there's a lot I don't know because, again, I read all the X-Force issues. I remember even continuing on with it when Greg Capullo took over art duties on there. But that was 30 years ago, right? Because I ended up, getting out of it at some point when it just wasn't holding my interest anymore. And I was doing more of the Marvel stuff and everything. So there's so much I could not tell you about Cable, about Strife, or any of that. But I can fucking tell you that Cannonball is invulnerable when he's blasting. Because they will never sum up a previous story in an issue. But you will forever fucking hear that Cannonball is invincible while he's blasting. They make sure to add that tidbit into every book, and then everything else is left a mystery that you will never fucking understand. You'll never be able to catch up on stories just jumping into it or whatever. So, I don't know, it's insane. But I appreciate that they would add this into every fucking issue that has Cannonball in it. It's almost like Cannonball is so fucking forgettable that you forget that he's invulnerable when he's blasting, okay? So Strife, is like, hey, I'm going to beat your ass, Cable. And Cable's like, okay, I don't think so. We're going to fight. And I just want to point out here, because you're going to see why in a second, that Strife has this gigantic red cape on that's doing all types of crazy shit right here. But the second that we turn this page and Cable punched him, his cape disappeared. Is it because Liefeld ended up drawing an entire body and then realized that he'd have to erase it and cover it up with cape? or he couldn't have the cape going down off the side or something. Who knows? I feel like using the cape would have, I mean, it was a bad angle for punching Strife. That was the trick, because if he does have the cape coming here, you're not going to see Cable punching Strife here like this. So that wasn't the way it should have been drawn. Other than that, it's a pretty good panel. I like that. It just wasn't planned for a cape, okay? Sunfire here is fighting Dragoness, and both of them have flame powers. And we just talked about how the entire warehouse is nothing but explosives and drugs. So Richter's like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm going to hit her with a vibe and knock her down or whatever. So he does, and she falls into these boxes here while she's on fire. She's not on fire here or here, but then she does turn on fire here after she gets knocked down. And then Sunfire's like, you idiot. Both of our powers are fire. And I was making sure that I didn't cause any explosions here when I was using my fire. But now that you knocked her into this stuff and everything's on fire. And Victor's like, yep, you're right, I fucked up. So he alerts Cable, and Cable's like, okay, guys, everybody get out of here. I'm going to take care of Strife now. And Cannonball's like, no, you're not. I'm going to grab you and Wolverine and fly you out of here. While everybody else runs or whatever. And they get out of the warehouse as the warehouse explodes. And they talk about how all of the drugs and everything were destroyed in that. Which, again, seems like the way. I mean, I would have been my first thought when I jumped in there. Like, oh, is this the place where the drugs are? And they conveniently loaded it with explosives? They did half my work for me. Let me just blow it up and get the fuck out of there. I don't need to stop and fight everybody. Then they talk about how Strife was trapped in there and now he's dead. And because he's dead, they won't be able to find out where the friends are that he took. And Cable reassures her that now that Strife, the leader of this organization, is dead, then the rest of the organization will end up crumbling because they don't have leadership or whatever. This is very good. I think a lot of this may have been the anchor just because of the details that we're getting on some of this and the shading. But again, the artwork in this book was pretty damn good. I liked it. I enjoyed it. The story is kind of all over the place. There's not much here that that's doing anything for me. A fight between Wolverine and Cable was like the most boring thing I've seen in a book to date. It just had nothing. There were no stakes. There was nothing in it for me. There was nothing that I thought was cool other than some artwork. But there you go. That was New Mutants number 94. So guys, again, I'm a comic book artist. I'm trying to build an audience here. If you like this video, please hit like. It'll help my channel grow. And if you want to see more videos like this, hit subscribe. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. See ya.